let's move on to more important things, and that is the coronavirus and the question that has been asked over the course of the last, couple months. Did Governor Sisolak open up the casinos and open up the economy too soon? Did we do that in other states as well? Well, a new study says that Nevada should think about another stay-at-home order. It's a newly published study from the Harvard Global Health Institute, and it is recommending that Nevada and several other states in the country shut down amid this pandemic. Now, keep in mind that it was the Trump-owned administration that put us in the red zone in Clark County that said that they recommend that we shut down all restaurants, bars, and gyms. So it's not just this study. As you know, Governor Steve Sisolak has not announced any additional closures, but has said previously that the numbers will help him decide if they're needed. Well, these numbers aren't great. The new COVID-19 hospitalizations are starting to go down, so that's the good news. But on Saturday, the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services says there were 29 deaths, almost 900 new cases, and a positivity rate of over 11%. On Friday, several Nevada counties were flagged as high-risk transmission areas. Clark County was one of them, since it's been the most impacted of COVID-19 in the entire state. UNLV Assistant Professor Brian Labus, who's been on this show before, says that before the decision to close businesses again is made, a lot of different factors need to be taken into account. I agree with that. He said there's no simple answer. People wind up suffering in different ways, and that burden is not shared equally upon everyone. So with that being said, we're getting these new numbers that have come in. And by the way, for some members of the media out there or talk show hosts or people out there that don't even live in Las Vegas, that think they know everything about Las Vegas, which clearly they don't. They call themselves Vegas insiders. And when all the casinos opened up on day one and Caesar's Palace was full of people, some of these people that don't even live here in this town that think they know anything about this town were saying, everything's going to be back to normal. The Strip is going to be busy again. You watch. Everything's going to be great. And I called them fools then, and they're fools now. Why? Well, it turns out that about 1 million people visited Las Vegas in June, okay? The 100% drop in convention attendance was bad, too. But listen to some of these numbers. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority on Friday reported a little over 1 million people visited the destination, down 70% from June of 2019. I told everybody this was going to happen. June is also normally a very good month for leisure travelers with school out and summer vacations. That makes sense, right? And I've been here for 20 years. June is a very, very, very good month for Las Vegas for visitors. So they were closed for 78 days, and the city's, resorts were allowed to open up on June 4th. But hotel occupancy has been hurt by capacity restrictions ordered by the state. A downturn in fly-in traffic and general fear that travelers will contract the virus. They've also said that the leading tourism indicators were in negative territory in June, a trend that has been in place since March. And the occupancy rate was calculated at around 40% in these hotels. That's compared to 91% in June of 2019. I've talked about this before. I said that the travelers wouldn't get here. I mean, it was an obvious thing. People are still scared, and rightfully so. They don't want to travel. But a lot of fools out there that think they know what they're talking about said the opposite.
It's not even really the fact that people are scared. It's just the fact that Las Vegas isn't what it was. There's not entertainment. You have to wear a mask everywhere. It's not the same experience. A lot of the restaurants are closed down. So it's not the fact that the demand isn't there. The demand is there, but we're not set up for that type of demand. And we can't offer the same experience that we could offer for the last 25, 30 years, Brian.
That certainly could be a part of it.
That is a major part of it.
It's a part of it, but a lot of people that I know that live in other parts of the country have not taken a trip to Las Vegas this summer because they don't want to travel. They don't want to get on a plane. They don't want to travel. They're afraid of getting the virus. And by the way, over the weekend, we had something that had to, well, I'm not going to say shut down, but they certainly had to kick a lot of people out. Have we heard about this Ahern Hotel? Remember the Ahern Hotel? We spoke about it last week. They had this evangelical Donald Trump supporting gathering in this ballroom. And as you know, the state is, or at least Clark County, is requiring that you don't have a gathering of more than 50 people. Well, there were at minimum a couple hundred people at this gathering, not practicing the social distancing guidelines that they should have. The mayor tried to shut them down. A lot of people were very upset at that. They were fined $250. We talked about it last week. And, whether it's a Trump gathering or a Black Lives Matter protest, this happened indoors, though, so it's even more serious. But the bottom line here is that they weren't following guidelines, and that's why the Ahern Hotel was, fined. Not a lot of money, but they were fined. They were fined about the amount of money that I would lose in a slot machine in about 5 minutes. But with that being said, they had this Nevada pageant yesterday over there, and the only way the pageant could go on is if people left, because they had more than 50 people again in this hotel. So I want you to listen to this audio. This is audio of the Miss Nevada pageant on Sunday that was going to be shut down unless people left. This is when it took place. Have a listen to this.
Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, if you're here to spectate the pageant, you unfortunately cannot be here.
So that's it. A lot of the people there had to leave. And according to eyewitnesses, the entire audience pageant was forced to leave in order for the competition to continue. No citations were issued as a result of the incident. That's what authorities are saying. And as I mentioned earlier, they came under scrutiny in recent days because of that other gathering they had there. And they were fined $250. Now, the guidelines are very simple. State guidelines currently require gatherings to be limited to 50 people or less, and indoor events may not exceed 50% capacity. I mean, it's pretty, I'm not going to say clear cut, but that kind of is, isn't it? If you're holding a gathering indoors, you can't be at more than 50% capacity, and you can't have more than 50 people. Why is that so hard for this hotel in Las Vegas to understand? It's not about politics. If you want to make the argument, well, they held a Trump rally with a bunch of evangelicals and they're paying for it. No, they're not. Just abide by the rules. If you want to have around 50 people there, nobody's going to complain about it. I wouldn't complain about it so long as everybody is wearing masks, so on and so forth. But they didn't comply. That's the important thing that we're talking about here. They're not complying. I mean, do people out there think that they went after this hotel because they had a Trump rally? I don't think that's the case at all.